can't see it because it's next to the sun, which is much, much brighter than anything else in the sky. Another reason we can't see it is that it's between us and the sun. The bright lit side of the moon is facing away from us. Only the dark, unlit side is facing towards us. So, how does the moon become visible to us? In this video, we'll explain moon phases and show you how the moon's shape and moonrise times change over a lunar month. Every day, the moon rises around 50 minutes later than the day before. A few days after new moon, it rises a few hours after the sun and is almost impossible to see in the bright sky. But as the sun sets, a slender crescent appears. Overall, half of the moon is always in sunlight, half in darkness. As the moon orbits Earth, it changes just how much of the lit up side we can see. A few days later, it rises around midday and is visible in the blue afternoon sky. As seen from Earth, the moon is 90 degrees from the sun and exactly half its face is illuminated. This is the first quarter moon because the moon has gone 1/4 of the way around Earth. So what's next? Stay with us and see what happens to the moon as it travels through its phases. And remember, the moon rises about 50 minutes later each day. About 2 weeks after new moon, it's rising at sunset. Full moon is the only phase where the moon is up for the whole night. The moon is now on the opposite side of the Earth to the sun, and the side facing us is completely lit up. This is the halfway point of the lunar month, and the moon continues to rise later and later. About a week after full moon, the third quarter moon is rising around midnight. As before, half of the moon's face is illuminated, but it's the other way around to the first quarter moon 2 weeks ago. A few days after half moon, it shrinks away again, rising as a thin crescent just before sunrise, and once more it's lost in the glare of the sun. As the moon passes between the Earth and the sun, we're back at new moon again. It's been just over 4 weeks since the last new moon, and the lunar cycle begins again. And now it's over to you. What's your favorite moon phase? A delicate crescent moon, a bright full moon, or a quarter moon against the blue sky? Tell us in the comments below. And one more thing, if you're in the southern hemisphere, the moon appears the other way around and travels in the other direction across the sky. Remember, subscribe.
Shalom. I give honor and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua Shem Hakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of great wisdom for teaching the truth and sincerity. Salutations to the hopeful that is spread throughout the four corners of the earth. All right, this is going to be a response to IUIC says the new moon is shiny, not dark. A video made by GMS Hawaii Ba. All right. And in the two clips I show you was, how IUIC, the first one was a woman or sister, so-called sister. The reason I'm saying so-called because, she's in the truth, right? But, if you're a real sister doesn't teach, okay? A real sister is just supposed to be silent, okay? To be honest, she's just, a woman, to be honest, just a woman speaking, okay? Because she's not supposed to be speaking, all right? She's supposed to be silent, all right? It's in the scriptures, all right? Rough for paraphrasing, but the Lord commanded that women to keep silent in the churches, okay? And if they would learn anything, they would learn from their husband at home, okay? But you have IUIC having their women, okay, in their, church congregations, right? In their assemblies, okay, teaching, right? And she basically said that, how do you know what the new moon is, right? You know when the new moon is light, okay? That's how you know that it's the new moon, which is completely false and incorrect. All right. See, I'm not gonna go into every precept because this elder, okay, GMS, why you buy, okay, he went into it, right? He basically went into like the precepts that you know the Lord put on the spirit to go into, okay. So I'm just not gonna go into all the precepts because I was just gonna focus on the main topic, right, which is just rebuking and correcting that false teaching, all right, that the new moon is shiny, okay. And then in the second clip was animation, okay, that you can visually see um, how the new moon is not shiny, right? On the which the new moon is determined by the is how we determine the months, all right? The It's in the name, right? New moon equals to new month, okay. So and that's how we also determine this Shabbat, right? The Shabbat is on a new moon. That's the day when we rest, okay? And we rest on the first day of the new moon, okay? That's when the sun goes down, all right? So that second animation, the they were explaining how the new moon, you can't see the new moon because it's dark. That's when the sun is the brightest brighter thing, shining, okay, in the heavens. All right. And another reason why is because the new moon is in between the sun and the earth. So the light or brighter the lights the brighter side of the moon is facing the sun, and then the dimmer side or the darker side, which is also referred as the dark moon, is facing the earth. Okay. So that's the new moon. Okay. It's not when the new moon is not shiny. Okay. When it faces the earth, it's not shiny. All right. So they basically said that this scripture here, Ecclesiastes 43, all right, um, is where they got this the new moon is a shiny, not dark precept, okay, teaching from. All right. So I'm gonna read it in the NLT, and I'm also gonna read it in the GNT, okay, just to bring out um just for translation purposes and to bring out the edification. So this is Ecclesiastes, or also known as the Book of Sirach, the 43rd chapter. Um, let's start here. Sirach 43:6 He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times and a sign of the world. Okay. Right. The new moons, they are, or the moon, change, they go through what we call a lunar cycle, where it goes from, which represent the moon changing from one new moon to the next new moon. Okay. You know, to be a sign or be a time to be for seasons, okay, for you know holy days, okay. and it's a sign of the world, meaning it's a sign to you Israelites, okay? And knowing what, because what we didn't keep, there was no Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, right? We base the holy days off the moons, right? So if it was a new moon, we knew that it was a Shabbat. Okay, it was a full moon, we knew that it was a Passover. All right. For the moon is the sign of feasts, a light that decreases in her profession. So IUIC uses scriptures to say that, that light, that is how we know that is the new moon, which is completely false, because in the second clip, the animation of the moon phases, right, it clearly says that, the new moon is when the darker side is facing the earth, and the light side is facing the sun. Okay. And the moon is perfect, is most perfect when it is full moon, right? So that light that decreasing of profession, right? The full moon meaning what? The full moon decreasing, right? Is waning, back to the full moon, okay? Or back to the new moon, like you. So it's the light that decreases of profession represents a full moon waning to a new moon. The new moon is called after her name. The month is called after her name, okay? Increasing wonderfully in her changing, just mean what, waning and waxing, right? There's 8 phases of the moon cycle. You have the 4 primary phases and the 4 intermediate phases, right? Those phases is a waning. You have a waxing crescent and a waning crescent, okay? Being instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven. All right. So I'm just gonna bring out some more points here. You have just you can I got a different dictionary up here that goes into what occurs on the new moon. You have your different sacrifices, all right, offerings, feasts, okay. So the new moon, the first day of the lunar month, was observed as a holy day. Okay, so the like I mentioned, the lunar month is just one new moon to the next new moon. Okay, which represent the new month, right? The new moon represents the new month, right? And it's a holy day, a day of rest. Okay, Shabbat. All right. Then here, moon phases. Okay, now the moon phases. All right. So current time is November the 9th. We're currently in the waning Gibson phase, okay? Which you can see here. So that's the moon changing, right? All right. So full moon was on November 5th. All right, that when the moon was at her profession. All right, then went to the third quarter, November 12th, which we're not there yet. So it's in the waning phase. Okay, so between the full moon and third quarter is in the waning phase. All right, the waning phase. Third quarter gonna be on November 12th. Okay, and then the new moon is November 20th. All right, which represent the first day of the month. All right, November 19th to November the 20th. All right. Then another one, all right, the phases of the moon. All right. So there are 4 primary and 4 intermediate phases. The primary phases are what? The new moon, the first quarter, the full moon, and the third quarter. Okay. The intermediate phases are the waxing crescent, the waxing Gibson, waning Gibsons, which we are in now, then the warning waning crescent, right? Depending on which side of the earth you're from, right? The southern or the northern hemisphere, right? Then you'll be right now. I'm just pointing this out because right now, I'm in the we're in the northern hemisphere. So if you live in the United States, you will be in the waning Gibson phase, right? Then the third quarter, then the waning crescent, then back to the new moon. Okay. The new moon, which is known as the invisible phase of the dark moon. Okay, the dark phase, or the new moon, is when the sun and moon are aligned with the sun and Earth on opposite sides of the moon. So here, right, we're the dark phase, the dimmer phase. Okay, invisible phase is facing the Earth, and then the lighter phase is facing the sun. Okay, that's very simple. All right, then the full moon, the moonlight phases. Okay, the full moon is the most striking moon phase when the entire face of the moon is lit up and visible from Earth. All right, so that's when the moon is so called shining. All right, it's on the full moon. All right, so it shows so to correct this doctrine here. The new moon is shiny and not dark. Right, is completely false. Right, the new moon is dark. Okay, it's invisible, so called invisible. All right, the full moon is shining or light lit. All right, okay. So I'm just gonna close it out here with just this precept here. Romans 16, 17 reads, now beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses contrary to the doctrine where you have learned and avoid them. Okay, this is just another mark of IUIC, to avoid IUIC doctrine. Okay, to avoid their teaching. All right, to avoid them completely. All right, don't get involved in this congregation. Don't listen to their videos. Don't watch their lessons. Okay, because like we always say, yeah, okay, they teach some truth. Okay, they teach some truth, but but they don't teach the 100% truth. They don't teach the correct doctrine. They still call on Christ. All right, we know that the Lord name's not Christ. Okay, we know the name is Yahushua. All right. They're teaching contrary to the doctrine we have learned. Okay, you know, it's in the scriptures, right, that the new moon, right, is is what is a hidden phase, right? The appointed times, and the elder goes into it, right? That when you go to appointed times, right, it goes back to hidden or concealed, right? Which is which ultimately goes back to the new moon, right? Because the new moon is dark, right? It's hidden, right? You can't see it; it's invisible, right? And that's when what the Shabbats occur, right? It's when we don't do any work, all right? It's a time of it's a holy day unto the Lord, okay? So I'm gonna close it here by giving honor and praises to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shah, by Hashem Karkadash. That's official.